It's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We thank you so much for joining us. Our guest is Keith Fowler. Keith is a certified substance abuse counselor with Sovereign Health Group of California. I am really glad you're here.
Thank you.
We're heading into the holidays, and so often abuse and addiction starts to spiral out of control. Holidays should be a happy time, but for many, it's just dreary. Talk to me about that.
Sure. Well, obviously, with addiction, the holidays generally are a difficult time for many people. We find that there are increased rates not only of substance abuse, but of other mental health problems as well. Depression, anxiety, fear of interacting with family, not having family, maybe they've lost loved ones, and the holidays are harder for people. But of course, we also find that there is an increase in drinking and drug use around the holidays. Also, for many families, because of living far distances apart from each other, the holidays are the only time that they really get to see other members of the family. And so it's not unusual for a family member with a drug or alcohol problem show up for Thanksgiving dinner, show up for Christmas Eve functions, and to be very concerned about this particular family member because it's been some time since they've seen them.
I want to talk to you about that because in my life, I have had to deal with family members facing addiction. And I got to tell you, it is incredibly painful because we don't know what to do. I mean, for the addict, I can't even imagine. But what would you recommend to someone who has a family member that is clearly descending into the abyss and they want to help pull them out without causing a fight, for lack of a better term?
Absolutely. Well, I think the first thing is that, most families in the United States are impacted by addiction. The statistics say 1 in 3 American families are impacted by somebody who's actively using drugs and alcohol. Personally, I believe it's a little bit higher than
Me too.
that. But the biggest place is to come from a place of caring and love at all times. And obviously, the prevalence of the show Intervention has been a wonderful resource.
And you were on Intervention.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a wonderful resource for people to begin to understand about doing a carefrontation as opposed to a confrontation.
I like that. Let's say if one of our viewers is watching, they're concerned that maybe they are headed down the path of addiction. I mean, I guess I wonder, when is social drinking morphed into a problem? What's your take?
It's different for different people, but generally, I take a look at a couple key factors. First is tolerance has increased, so they're needing to drink or use more drugs or alcohol than what they historically have needed to feel the same effect. It's beginning to affect major psychosocial areas: occupational functioning, interpersonal relationships, marital relationships, finances, employment, those kinds of things. Those are the key things to take a look at.
What about, the family on the west side or the valley who, mom and dad have 2 glasses of wine for dinner every night?
Sure.
Is that a problem?
No.
It's not?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, alcohol use in moderation and social drinking is completely acceptable. What we're concerned about, and at Sovereign Health California, we're concerned about people whose drinking or other types of substance patterns have gone increasingly problematic.
In addition to the holidays, are you seeing more addiction, more intake because of the economic crisis?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're seeing people that don't have the resources to get help anymore because they've lost their job, they've lost their health insurance, their COBRA benefits don't necessarily provide for rehabilitation services. It's a very difficult time for people. Marital conflict is increasing significantly.
Keith, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the program and for really helping people who so need your help. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You bet. For Local Edition, I'm Brad Pomerance. Back to CNN HLN.